Well, welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. I really enjoyed that conversation with Kristen Dewey from the Gulf Coast Community Foundation. And the next time she and I get together, we'll talk about some of the headlines and some of the work that they're doing with their board. They've got a great board. In fact, we should share the members of their board. She mentioned Ron Barnes from Coast Electric, but we'll give you a better feel for what that board is all about and what they do and how they support the multitude of efforts coming out of the Gulf Coast Community Foundation these days. And the other thing that's interesting too is that seems like every conversation I have with any significant leader in coastal Mississippi, the conversation always goes back to Hurricane Katrina and what it taught us about our resilience, what it taught us about leadership, what it taught us about how we can do what at the time seems like something we would never be able to do. You know, the ability for the human spirit to grasp something like that and then say, you know, we got to do it, and we did it. But it always comes back to that. In fact, my next guest, Treasurer David McRae, and I, as we were talking about coming to this to do this segment together, you know, it also drifted back to Hurricane Katrina and maybe a role his wife even played in the aftermath of Katrina. But anyway, we'll chat a little bit about that. But before we go any further, David, it's great to see you on my show, buddy.
Well, appreciate you. Thank you for the invitation. And yeah, we do have that little connection. I mean, Mississippi is such a tiny place. We're all either related or have some connection with each other in some form or fashion. And I was glad to share that with you. It was a very, as you said, a horrible situation, but what came out of it and how the coast has rebuilt over all these years is remarkable. I mean, the coast is flourishing, I think, leaps and bounds. You know, I'm sure a lot of people at the time wrote the coast off. It was done. But, yeah, you know, with a lot of hard work from people like you, local leaders down there, community activists, all that, and the state as well, my wife included in that, was really dedicated in trying to rebuild the coast to its glory. And I think y'all, I wouldn't say on the road there because y'all are looking great. So
I think it's been a miraculous. I think if you go back and look at where we started from, it may be one of the most significant sort of untold stories in American history, how we were able to pull ourselves together. I think most of us would have never been able to appreciate what it would take to do it. And, you know, the tens of billions of dollars the federal government sent this way in order for us to build infrastructure and, you know, rebuilding the bridges and sewage systems and electric utility grids. And I mean, you know, we literally rebuilt the infrastructure for coastal Mississippi. And we did it in a way that wasn't just rebuilding back what was there. Haley challenged us. He said, you know, what will our kids and our kids' say of us? Well, they say we got it, you know, and it was such a challenge that we had to rebuild bigger and better. We had to focus on the future and what might be possible and what kind of infrastructure would we need to accommodate us. But more importantly, we don't want our bridges to get wiped away next time. So the bridges needed to be stronger. Part of our resiliency was to build an infrastructure that was truly resilient. And it's just a great story. That really is. And it's great to hear your wife played a role.
It really is a great story. And it shows we had great leaders. Governor Haley Barbour was a great leader. And, you know, everybody paid attention to New Orleans. I mean, people forget that. But really, you know, Katrina made landfall at Pass Christian. And, you know, that's where it was. And, you know, people kind of didn't pay attention to Mississippi. New Orleans was being the squeaky wheel. And, you know, thank goodness for very strong leaders, very good, strong senators and everything. And Thad Cochran at the time, and Senator Cochran, Senator Lott, they and Haley really went up there and did a great job in making sure we were taken care of by the federal government and got what we deserved.
Listen, as irony would have it, I was publisher of the Sun-Herald, and we were honored with a Pulitzer. And the Times-Picayune was also honored with a Pulitzer after Hurricane Katrina, and I would become the publisher of the Times-Picayune after Katrina, which is quite an amazing turn of events. But what we often said was that they dealt with a man-made disaster. I mean, the impact of the Katrina on the levees and the story is now well told. It's like two separate and distinct disasters, each in its own right, the worst natural disasters in American history, played out simultaneously. And what an incredible scenario that is. I mean, you know, you made this point that there's been a lull in the hurricane season, and it may not be this year, but we had Camille, we had Katrina, there'll be another one. And, the focus is how do we make sure that when we get hit again, can we bounce back better? I think we will do better this time because we built capacity from a leadership perspective and we built capacity from an infrastructure point of view. I think we'll do better. That's my read on it.
In general, you learn from your mistakes, you build, and then you make more mistakes, whether they're on purpose or not, and you learn from those. I mean, on a recent level with financial situations, we learned after 2008, certain things didn't work. The federal government put certain standards in, and we were able to get through COVID recessions and not have another 2008 again. I mean, so there's safeguards that will be put in place, and there'll be another hurricane one day, and hopefully the coast will be prepared for it, and it seems like it probably will be.
Hey, listen, it was interesting. It's a shame you and I haven't spent time together. So this may be hopefully the first of many times that we'll spend times together. But as a former publisher, I know the McRae's family brand, department store brand, extraordinarily well. And what a legacy that is. It's interesting. You were involved in various ways. You were involved in sort of the investment side at one point. Did you ever imagine that during those days of learning these McRae values and being involved in the family business that one day you would get into politics and become treasurer of the state of Mississippi?
Well, it's funny. There's not been many McRae's who've been involved in politics and successful at that measure. But it's not something I ever thought I would be involved with. I never ran for student council. I wasn't in student college elections, things of that nature. But as I was in law school and then started having children, I kind of got to the cliche answer was, how do I leave this state in a better place? And I was managing partner of my family's private investment office, McRae Investments. And I really thought the skills that I'm learning here from my father and my brother as well, and the people I'm meeting and the things I can do from the investment standpoint, I could take these over to the state treasury and we could do those too. And we have been extremely successful with that. I mean, you look at our investments this go around, we had 3.5% gains, which may not seem like a lot, and I'll explain why that is significant, but we made over $375 million in investment returns for the state of Mississippi. And that's just changing our investment structures over time. And when I got here, I could see that we were not where we needed to be in those places. And with my contacts, knowing that world, knowing kind of the trends, I just said, hey, look, let's change this up. And this is where we are. The 3.5% to people listening may not sound like a lot, but the money that we're investing has to be very liquid so we can pay for all the things that Mississippi has. So we have to be able to call that money at any point in time. But a 3.5% gain in the economy that we're in today, I'm very, very proud of. And the $375 million, it's a record. I mean, and it will allow us to do things without having to borrow money. But it's to go back to your point, the things I learned, I thought this was the best fit for me to make a real difference in Mississippi, make a real difference for my children and eventually my grandchildren and everybody's children and grandchildren as well. And I think we've done that here at the Treasury. I think we've done that in the last 4.5 years.
Dave, when you think about the surpluses in Mississippi, how we've been fiscally responsible, and then the amount of COVID funds that have come into the state, there has been no rest for the weary in your office, sort of managing through that, has there?
No, not at all. The funny story is when we got our first bit of COVID money, almost said Hurricane Katrina money, our first bit of COVID money, they didn't tell us when it was coming in, and I got a call at 3 a.m. in the morning that we had to find where to put $800 million. And that it's a fun phone call, but a very stressful phone call of where you deposit all that money, who's going to take it and things of that nature. And but it's fun. I mean, the job is enjoyable. I love it. I love the investment side of it. And I hope people, when they see what I do and what we're going to talk about later with unclaimed property and college savings, I hope they see these results.
Yeah, somebody told me, I remember when I was a sub-department head at the Sun Herald and then got a promotion and the budgets got bigger for each step. And then later in my career dealing with hundreds of millions of dollars. Someone told me early in my career, you'll be surprised, but the further you get in your career, when you look at it on paper, it is just just more zeros. I never really saw it that way. I felt I think every step of the way, I felt even more responsibility. I never got used to the zeros. That's for sure.
No, you never do. It just creates new problems, good problems to have, and everything. And like I said, 375 million is nothing to sneeze at. And it's great for us as a state. And it's, like I said, it's good problems to have. It's good to be flush with cash for the state. It's good to be able to do the things we want to do without having to worry. I mean, there have been some dim times over time.
I know there has been. There definitely has been. We're certainly not in that position yet, but we got to be smart because we could be there again. And that's why it's important to have a treasurer that's focused in that way. Hey, when we come back on the other side, we'll have a final segment with David McRae, but more specifically, we're going to talk about an upcoming event coming up Thursday, August 29th. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. One of the things I love about doing this show is the opportunity to make new friends, and it's been great having the opportunity to meet with Treasurer David McRae, someone I probably should have had on this show a long time ago. But it's great. I mean, someone said to me when I started the show, David, they said, well, once you burn through the first group of leaders, who's going to be on your show? And here we are over 1,200 conversations later and still plenty of people to have on the show. And it's been a pleasure to get to know you better.
Well, better late than never, and I'm glad to be here. I mean, I appreciate it. And talking to you off air, it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, it has been. It has been for sure. Listen, the unclaimed money effort of your department, something you wanted to stake a claim on when you became treasurer, has been hugely successful. And in fact, the sort of the final spot of the tour is going to be in Gulfport. And at Thursday, obviously the August 29th. That's a pretty notable date for us here in coastal Mississippi at Boozer's Brew on Pass Road in Gulfport from 10 to noon. But it's been significant, the success you've had in terms of your unclaimed money effort, isn't it?
Yeah. So when I first came into office about 4.5 years ago, I gathered my teams up and said that one of the big things I wanted to do was get unclaimed money back out into the people's hands. And for people who don't know, unclaimed money is money that's not been claimed by anybody. It can be a deposit, life insurance policies. We see a bunch, wills and estates, bank accounts, stocks, all sorts of stuff, things that just have gone missing. It comes back to the state after so many years. And it's our job to go and find the rightful owner. Though you can go to treasury.ms.gov, go to the unclaimed property section and go online and type in your name and you can find it there and claim it there. And you don't need a notary. You can still do it by paper, but get the e-file is the best way to do it. So when I came in office 4.5 years ago, I said, I want to get this money out. And I guess they believed me. So we ended up, in July, we hit $100 million given back to the people of Mississippi over 4 years. So that is, and we plan to hit 130 by the end of the year. That's our goal. But we've given back over 100 million to the people of Mississippi. It's a record. We're excited about that. So what better way to celebrate? Let's go on a tour of Mississippi. So we started here in Jackson a couple weeks ago. Then we went up to South Haven. We're going to be then to Tupelo. Then we're going to Hattiesburg, and we're going to end up on the anniversary of Katrina on the 29th. At Boozer's Brew on Pass Road to celebrate our grand finale, or kind of our victory lap, so to speak, about unclaimed money. Now, you come at 10 o'clock. We'll have free coffee. And while you're there, you can look up a claim if you want to talk. What I found on this tour is interesting. People know they have money, but they want to actually talk to somebody in person because they think it's a scam. My department has one of the best jobs and also simultaneously the worst job because we actively call people and they'll hang up on them or cuss them out or do whatever because they think it's a new car warranty type thing. But no. We're trying to get money out to people, and people do have a lot of money. In Jackson, a man had $100,000. In Tupelo, someone had roughly around $29,000. Our largest claim to date was $800,000 claims last year. Average Mississippian has roughly $2,000 waiting for them. But you know what? If you just get $20, aren't you happy about that? I mean, I go and open up a coat pocket. It's about to be wintertime, though it doesn't feel like it now, but it'll be winter soon enough. and I'll open up a pocket and I'll find a couple dollars in there, and I'm excited about it. I mean,
David, it's cool because these people have no idea that this is about to happen. It's almost like you're in the lottery business.
Yes, without the risk of it. Yes, we are in the lottery business in that regard. I like to call it the charity business in some form. Good. And we have changed a lot of people's lives. We've had people call when I first got into office. A woman called from somewhere in the state, and we don't put the exact amount online. It just says over or under $100 or $200. Yeah. And from there they claim it. And this woman just thought she just had a little bit of money. Christmas time was coming, had children, lived in a bad part of town, wanted to get out of it. It ended up she had roughly over $30,000. And wow. She was able to move out of the downtown part where she was. She was able to buy Christmas presents. And she sends me a letter every Christmas thanking me for it. But that's just my job. I mean, it's our job. I mean, and we're customer service oriented. And what we talked about in the first segment, McRae's was very customer service oriented. And I got that from my grandfather. I got that from my father. And that's what I brought here at the Treasury. And if someone calls, we want to get to yes. We will always try to get to yes. And from Unclaimed Money, that's what we've done. And we've been very happy. And the program has just taken off. The e-file system was one of the best things we could do. Coming from private practice, I saw that most everything had kind of gone online. And why weren't we doing that? So we did it. And it was very, very successful and continues to be successful now.
So it's Thursday, August 29th, this Thursday, from 10 to noon at Boozer's. And it's the $100 million Unclaimed Money Tour. What a great name. What a great name. Come by and have a free cup of coffee and find out if you have any unclaimed money coming to you. That's terrific. I'm glad you guys are doing that. You're making a lot of people happy. Hey, listen, in the short time we have left, you're having a good time as treasurer, aren't you?
I'm enjoying it. I love it. It's a great job. My skills are put to test every day from what I learned in the private sector, but I'm able to bring a lot from the private sector to state government, to state treasury. And we've been very happy in the results, I hope, have shown to the people of Mississippi. So.
Hey, one of the things I remember, and we'll do this next time, is when Tate was treasurer, the number of boards he served on, and now you serve on is amazing. We'll talk about that next time. But this has been State Treasurer David McRae. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much for having me.